M Coupe gives you all the proper performance parts you need to go fast, and then they basically just kick you in the ass and say, good luck. Talk about BMW M cars, they speak of every number in the performance playbook. M2, lightweight, agile, amazing handling. M5, massive power, 4 doors. And some may call me a clown for saying this, but say hello to the best BMW M car in the bunch. BMW's Hot Rod, a concoction built using BMW's smallest available chassis, highest output motor available that would fit, and then slapping a roof on it. And all of this built in secret by the skunkwork team at BMW's M division, whose engineers stayed after hours to bring to light a car that would have to eventually be begged into production, and a car which in less than 2 decades would see a rarefied status and become a collectible. This is the 2001 BMW M Coupe, a prime example of don't judge a book by its cover. Some think it's ugly. I happen to like it. And no matter what it looks like on the outside, from the driver's seat, it'll be hard to see anything over the massive grin that it causes you to make. And the man we have to thank for all that goes by Burkhard Goschel. I can only imagine how bad I'm butchering that name. Well, he's responsible for the Z8 as well as the M3 CSL, neither being slouches. And what he wanted was a pure driving enthusiast machine. A car for people who drive with the heart and not the brain, as he quoted. And the best way to produce that? Start with the smallest available chassis from BMW, which happens to be the middle-aged man special, the Z3 convertible. Z3 chassis? Good. Everything else, not so good. Because it's a convertible, it lacks any sort of structural rigidity. The simple solution to this? Add a roof and a hatchback, and the largest power plant that can be squeezed in it. And what came from this? A vehicle with over 2.5 times more rigidity than the middle-aged menace, the Z3 convertible. This thing is so stiff, and so am I. Now, what also came from this was a very odd and quirky appearing machine, known affectionately as the clownshoe for its odd shooting brake body type. A very long nose, a stout center, and a rear end to rival that of Kim K. Like, literally, look at it. Look at the hips and how wide it is. Anybody got any tissues or lotion? I wonder if Ferrari took notes when they were designing the FF from this. The M Coupe is a hot rod, plain and simple. It's a concoction made from the M division parts bin, and I quite like that. But what I like the most is under the hood. And especially because it's a 2001, it boasts one of the best engines ever built, the S54 spec of the 3.2-liter inline 6, which also powered the new E46 M3. It churns out an impressive 315 horsepower and 251 foot-pounds of torque, a 75 horsepower increase from the previous S52 inline 6. So this is the one you want, but good luck finding one. That engine literally takes up like 50% of the entire vehicle. It's absolutely wild to look at this thing with the hood open because you have no idea how big that engine is and how small the rest of the car is. But from the outside, you'd have no idea this little Munich shoe is packing such a sausage. There's no badging or advertising the M Coupe's newfound nuclear power. Driving this is enough to put chills down your spine. It becomes an extension of you, an extension of your body. Your back becomes one with the car, and it's an incredibly visceral experience to drive one of these. And it's incredibly quick, too. Before we get in too much trouble, I'm going to slow down. Now, only a 5-speed manual transmission was available, and it's very, very precise. And with your eyes closed, if you're slamming gears in one of these things, you'd think you're driving an M3. But open your eyes, and you realize you're in a suffocatingly small cockpit, especially if you have a lanky 6'5" frame, like myself. Did require some Olympic-grade gymnastics to climb down into this thing, I can tell you that. Oh. But the reward of folding yourself like a piece of paper to get into this thing is an incredibly visceral driving experience. The whole car is just so stable, and it's like your seating position is on the rear differential. You're like over the rear differential, and you've got this giant nose in front of you. It's really, really wild. And you're so like down in this car, the driving position, the driving profile, it's fantastic. I've never driven anything quite like this. The closest thing I could say is like an FDR X7. The steering is so snappy and it handles incredibly tight, even for being almost 20 years old. And that's due in part to its extremely short wheelbase. It's almost like a newer Shelby Cobra. Jeez. It requires lots of driver input to drive this thing. You have to pay attention to it. The minute you sit down, you get an immediate sense of connection with the vehicle. It's so special. You can feel that engine up front pumping power to the rear tires. It just wants to light them up and kick the back end out, even though you've got some Magnum-sized rubber back there. See, the difference between this M Coupe and other performance cars is they do everything they can to make the driving experience as smooth and as simple as possible. They don't build these things thinking Ayrton Senna is going to jump right in and go. The M Coupe gives you all the proper performance parts you need to go fast, and then they basically just kick you in the ass and say, good luck. But that's what makes it so fun and such a special driving experience. It's hard to wipe this grin off my face, honestly. I always knew the old saying was right. Good things can come in small packages, right? At least that's what I keep trying to tell myself. Now, a few specs. This will do 0 to 60 miles an hour in stock form in just under 5 seconds. It'll do the quarter mile in just over 13 seconds, and onto a top speed of 162 miles an hour. Not limited by anything but the engine. But what especially makes this car so quick is its weight. It only weighs 3,100 pounds, and that very high red line from that large engine doesn't hurt either. Now, this M Coupe does have a few tasteful mods done to it, in case you couldn't hear it. Oh, that sounds good. It does have an upgraded exhaust, some upgraded suspension pieces, as well as a Denon? Don't know if I'm saying that right. As well as a carbon fiber Denon intake and a tune. Now, unfortunately, this is the second to last year of the fabulous little monster that is the M Coupe. After only a 3-year run, the M Coupe was called off after 2002, marking the end of the line for the odd, quirky little BMW. Only 2,180 of the S52 coupes ended up in the States between 99 and 2000, and the S54 models like this are even scarcer, with only 678 being built. And I'm sure that number is well below 600 by now, as some have been totaled, destroyed, poof, gone. That does help with one thing: value. Now, although these things are kind of weird and people that don't know about cars may scoff at them, this is a car that can be scooped up for around 50 grand. That's much less common at your local Cars and Coffee than, say, a Ferrari or a Porsche. And the values of these have already climbed, and they're not going to stop anytime soon. Once again, a massive thank you to my friend Rick over at Euro Motorsports. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Happy motoring. There's the sheriff. He's following me.